This is the brand new Pixel 10 Pro XL, and you know how I know that? It's because it's not the new Pixel 10 Pro XL. In fact, it's the Pixel 9 Pro XL, and these two phones look incredibly similar. Now, just picking these off my desk, it's really difficult to tell which phone is what. The only real way to tell the difference is if you have a really close look. The camera housing on the 10 Pro XL is a little bit bigger, and there is a new metallic G that is on the back here, which Google, by the way, officially touts as an actual feature of the phone, even though it doesn't do anything. But honestly, there really is a lot similar between both the 9 Pro XL and the 10 Pro XL. So let me go through some of the more notable changes that you might be looking to know about if you fancy upgrading from last year's phone. Now, the first thing is that the 10 Pro XL is technically $100 more expensive this year because Google dropped the 128GB version of the XL model. So this means it starts at 256 gigs, but it's actually at the same price as last year, but you just can't get the 128 gig anymore. So you're forced to spend $100 more, even though it's still the same price as last year, if you follow me. Basically, if you want the XL this year, you need to spend $100 more than you would have last year. But let me start with my favorite upgrade on the Pixel 10 series. It's not just exclusive to the 10 Pro, but that is that we get Pixelsnap, and trust me, this is such a good upgrade. I've been looking forward to a Pixel getting MagSafe, Qi 2, however you want to call it, for a long time. You can use any MagSafe products already, like 99% of them will already work. So for example, you can use wallets that will just stick right onto the back of your phone. Oh, hang on a minute, this is actually the 9 Pro XL. Hang on, wait, let me try that again. They can stick right to the back of your phone. Just like that. And I've not been able to try any of the official Pixelsnap accessories yet because I just haven't had them arrive. But the fact that I don't need to wait is great. The Pixel 10 Pro XL is actually Qi 2.2, so it can charge at 25 watts wirelessly, which is much faster than the Pixel 9 Pro's 12 watts. Although that could do 23 watts with the Pixel stand, but I can probably count on one hand how many people owned that. And the biggest upgrade that I think that you would just notice every single day if you upgraded from the 9 Pro XL to the 10 Pro XL is its battery, because it's a big battery this year. The 10 Pro XL jumps to 5,200 mAh compared to the 5,060 on the 9 Pro XL, and I always say that bigger batteries are better, and I will never complain. However, having used the 10 Pro XL for the last couple of days, I've got to say I've not really noticed a huge difference and a massive jump, and I know a couple of 100 mAh isn't huge, and I shouldn't be expecting a massive jump, but really there hasn't been a significant improvement. The significant improvement though comes with its charging. Now, the Pixel 10 Pro XL gets 45 watts of charging compared to the 37 watts on the 9 Pro XL, and that means it'll get you to 70% in just 30 minutes. And of course, it's not the fastest charging in the world, but it is definitely something that I've noticed day to day when using this phone. And if I forget to charge it overnight, I can literally plug it in as I shower, and I know 70% will probably get me to the end of the day. The Pixel 9 Pro, for comparison, by the way, took 20 minutes to get to 50% charge, so it's a good upgrade. There are definitely some smaller changes, but pretty important changes to the 10 Pro XL that you didn't get on the 9 Pro XL. For example, the new 10 Pro XL upgrades to Bluetooth 6 over 5.3 from last year. As I mentioned, the base model is now 256 gigs rather than 128 gigs, and you get UFS 4 storage over UFS 3 on the Pixel 9s. And something that I have found to be a little bit noticeable is that the Pixel 10 Pro XL's screen brightness is 3300 nits, which has jumped 300 nits over the 9 Pro XL. But the display on the Pixel 10 Pro XL does have an added bonus, which I know a lot of you don't like, and I'm a little bit on my own here, but it has the always on display wallpaper, and I actually love this, and I think Google have done a really good job with implementing it. Now, this is exclusive to the Pixel 10 Pro and the XL, even though technically it could come to the Pixel 9 Pros. It probably won't though. Will it drain a little bit more battery? Yeah, it will do, but I think that looked really good. It's subtle, and remember, if you don't want this, Google doesn't force you to have this. You can turn it off in the settings. And I also quickly wanted to mention the upgraded speakers. Now, I don't know how much louder they are on the 10 Pro XL compared to the 9 Pro XL, but they are definitely louder. It just sounds more full and a little bit more bassy to last year's phone, so have a little listen to this. And let me say this really quickly because I know it is a big deal for people that are upgrading from the 9 Pro XL or thinking about upgrading to the 10 Pro XL. And if you are in the US, Google did away with physical SIM, so you cannot get that anymore. It is eSIM only. And I don't think it's a big deal because you can have 2 eSIMs active at the same time and you can have 8 or more eSIMs saved to your phone. And having read some of the comments on the last couple of videos we've done about the Pixel 10s, I know it's a real deal breaker for a lot of you, so it's definitely something worth noting that if you upgrade from the 9 Pro XL to the 10 Pro XL, you're going to lose the physical SIM card. Now, a lot of the rest of the phone is the same fingerprint scanner, the same cameras, mostly, which I'll get into, the same screen size, same bezels, and the same Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which still easily scratches when another phone camera slides down its screen. One thing that is not the same though is what is powering these phones, and we finally have the Tensor G5. I suppose what most of you want to know about is the Tensor G5, and is it a big enough upgrade over the Tensor G4? And all I'm saying is it's not quite the upgrade you were hoping for. If we go off the pure benchmarks, then the single core and multi-cores are definitely better on the G5, but not by much. But honestly, I'm not a massive fan of benchmarks because they don't tell the real story of what a phone is like to use day to day. And using the Pixel 10 Pro XL day to day with that Tensor G5, I've not noticed a huge difference. Maybe the biggest disappointment here is that I think the Pixel 10 Pro XL still runs pretty hot under intense tasks. It's quite similar to how the 9 Pro XL was for gaming and anything else in that category that you would consider intense. Now, I had the camera open just by mistake for a while on the 10 Pro XL, and maybe it was open for 20-30 minutes, and I cannot tell you how hot this phone got. It was hotter than anything that I'd had on the 9 Pro XL. This might be the biggest upgrade for Tensor in 5 years, but it's still not the biggest jump, even if it is using that 3nm process. And to be honest, I just really don't think that you're going to see a significant enough change, especially if you think that you want to swap phones to get the Tensor G5 and more power. You're not really going to see a huge difference. What the Tensor G5 does bring though to the Pixel 10 Pro XL is a lot of new AI features. Now, annoyingly, I've not been able to try a lot of these features, so I will talk about it more in the full review. But for example, Magic Q, I still don't have that on my Pixel 10 Pro XL, but from what I have seen, this is a really nice feature to use inside messages and even emails and the phone app. Having the phone give you information on the conversation that is happening without having to go looking is really cool, and I'm interested to know whether this will eventually work with third-party apps like WhatsApp. Voice translation, I've seen the demos, and this is wildly impressive. And Edit for Me is equally as impressive as that. The AI features that I just mentioned, I think are going to be exclusive to the newer Pixel here. Because of the processing power needed, you're going to need the Tensor G5, and Google might bring something similar, or maybe a downgraded version to the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But if you want the latest and the best AI features, then the 10 Pro XL is going to be the way to go. Now let's talk the cameras, and the big question is, are the cameras better this year? And on paper, the specs are practically the same. Now, Google decided to not change any of the sensors this time round, which is a tad disappointing because you want to see new hardware improvements year on year, and I can't complain about the photos that the camera takes, but this year's upgrades are mostly AI. The biggest upgrade is ProRes Zoom on the 10 Pro XL, which goes up to 100 times, and this activates at 30 times, but I'll definitely go into the 100 times zoom a little bit more on the full review of the Pixel 10 Pro XL, so make sure you're subbed for that. But kind of the quick answer to this is that don't be expecting great results. The Pixel 9 Pro tops out at a 30 times zoom, so you can see a comparison between the two here, and the Pixel 10 Pro XL Super Res Zoom definitely can make that photo a little cleaner, but I wouldn't say the difference is massively noticeable. And would this make you want to swap out your Pixel 9 Pro for the 10 Pro XL? Yeah, probably not. When it comes to just regular photos between the two, the difference is very minor, as you would expect with the lack of upgrades. I cannot tell you that one is better than the other because they are basically on par with each other. After all, they're using the same hardware, and it's probably me thinking the 10 Pro XL photos look better, but you know, the photos look almost identical. The new Pixel ISP is meant to improve photos slightly, but again, I can't see a huge difference between the two phones, even in darker shooting situations with the two phones side by side. To my eyes, they look pretty similar, but you can let me know what you think in the comments. Now, portrait mode is meant to be upgraded, so it has better segmentation between the background blur and the person. And again, you can see the two photos side by side here. It's definitely a little bit better, but are you going to upgrade your phone to get slightly better portraits? I don't think you are. The big upgrade when it comes to cameras for the Pixel 10 Pro is video stabilization, and Google says that this has 2 times the range of OIS, which means better stabilization than last year's Pro phones, but this is only available on that 50 megapixel main lens. I already thought that video was pretty good last year, but now that stabilization is definitely better than it was. There is less judder, there's less movement, and it does just look a little cinematic. It's pretty impressive, but as with the camera, this is a very small upgrade overall, and not something that I would necessarily be wanting to swap my old Pixel 9 Pro out for just to have. In low light video using night sight video, I would say the Pixel 10 Pro XL comes out just on top over the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but again, as I've said with everything so far when it comes to cameras, it's pretty minor. When it comes to video boost and you trying to record in 8K video, you can now actually record in 24 frames per second, which wasn't available on the Pixel 9 Pro XL last year. So for people that like shooting something that is cinematic, you might be quite happy with this. And also there is the addition of Camera Coach on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, which will be exclusive to the 10 Pros. But will anyone really use this? I don't think they will. I mean, after the first time to try it, I don't think that anyone's really going to go back in and use Camera Coach. The question is though, if you have a Pixel 9 Pro XL, should you upgrade? And you definitely don't need to. The Pixel 10 Pro XL out the box immediately feels very different, and that's mostly down, I think, to Material 3 Expressive. And the thing is, you're going to get Material 3 Expressive on the Pixel 9s in a couple of weeks anyway. So, I mean, this is not the biggest jump from last year's generation, but I mean, when are upgrades a huge jump anymore? The problem is that there is definitely enough to tempt you. Pixelsnap is really cool to have. An always on display wallpaper, again, is cool. And a slightly better Tensor G5 and the improved stabilization, they're all good additions. There are some exclusive AI features that I think are cool, like Call Translate is really good. Magic Q, when it finally rolls out, I think will be incredibly impressive. And at the moment, we don't know if any of those AI features will come to older Pixel devices. Honestly, I think if you were to upgrade to the Pixel 10 Pro XL this year, I actually don't think you'd be disappointed. I think you'd be pretty happy with what you get. But if you have the Pixel 9 Pro XL, do you need to upgrade? Yeah, you definitely don't. I think if you were to keep hold of this for another year, you'd be pretty happy and you wouldn't really be missing out on a huge amount. If you have an older Pixel like the Pixel 8, for example, then this is a huge upgrade and you should absolutely have a look whether you can get your hands on one. But let me know if you have ordered the Pixel 10 Pro XL and if you are swapping out your Pixel 9 Pro XL for this. And even more interestingly, I want to know if you had an iPhone, has the Google Pixel event which they put on tempted you enough to go over and pick up a Pixel 10 Pro this year. Before you head off, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, because we have a lot more content coming up with the Pixel 10s and the Pixel 10 Pros, the full reviews, some extra verses as well. And if you do that, then I will see you in the next video.